Hello. Okay, I'm going to continue reading myths to you today. We're going to be reading Echo and Narcissus. The Greek gods lived a happy life on Mount Olympus where they feasted on nectar and ambrosia, talked and laughed, and were free from cares. Not like the mortals who were having a much harder time because of all the unpleasant things that Pandora had let loose in the world. Zeus, the mightiest of the gods, reigned over all the others, and enthroned beside him sat his wife Hera, a tall, stately lady with a rather stern look about her. Now, the gods were good looking and skillful and clever, and had magic powers to disguise themselves and to transform people into animals or plants if they felt like it, but they were by no means perfect. They could be unreasonably angry, they could be deceitful, and they could be jealous of each other. This is the story of what happened when Hera grew jealous and lost her temper. Hera was beautiful and Zeus loved her, but there was no denying that she was hard work. You always had to be on your best behavior with her. Increasingly, Zeus was beginning to feel that it was more fun lolling about with the wood nymphs on the lower slopes of Mount Olympus. The nymphs were the spirits of the forest trees and seemingly forever young like them. They were carefree and sweet-natured, and Zeus spent many happy hours with them. Hera was most unhappy about this. She said it made the king of the gods look foolish to be skipping about with wood nymphs. In fact, she was jealous because it seemed like that he liked them more than her, and one of them especially. She decided to find out what was going on and put a stop to it. She was on her way to the glades where the wood nymphs played when a nymph called Echo came running out to meet her. She seemed to be bursting with news. "Wait till I tell you what I just heard," she said, and went on to tell a long and rather pointless story of what one nymph had said and done and what another had replied. Hera let Echo chatter on for a while because she hoped to learn what her husband had been doing. But then she realized that Echo had run out in order to delay her and had gone on talking to give Zeus time to escape and sneak back to Olympus. Her fury was indescribable. "So Echo loves repeating what others have said," she hissed. "Very well, in future those shall be her only words. She shall say nothing else." "Nothing else?" asked Echo, trembling at the goddess's frown. And from that moment, she could no longer say what she wanted. She could only repeat the last few words she had heard. Since she couldn't join in the wood nymph's chatter anymore, she took herself wandering off into the forest alone. One day, she saw a young huntsman striding through the trees. He was so handsome that Echo fell in love with him at once. She longed to get to know him, but she could not talk to him. She could only follow him about with pleading looks and stretch out her arms to show how much she cared about him. Unluckily for poor Echo, this young man, whose name was Narcissus, was used to being admired by everyone. All the wood nymphs were in love with him, but Narcissus thought love a waste of time and made cruel fun of them. He found Echo's silent pursuit of him especially exasperating. "Leave me alone," he shouted. "Do you think I want to see you all of the time?" "I want to see you all of the time," replied Echo, overjoyed to be able to say what she felt. This made Narcissus even madder. The wood nymphs decided that Narcissus needed to be taught a lesson. They went to Nemesis, the goddess who brings people the punishment they deserve, and begged her to make him suffer. "Let him love hopelessly," they prayed, "more even than we have done." Nemesis smiled a cruel smile. "He loves no one but himself," she said, "so that will be his punishment." As Narcissus was wandering through the forest, he came across a clearing in which the waters of the clear pool reflected the sky above. It was cool and peaceful there, the perfect place to rest on a hot day. Narcissus lay down near the water's edge and caught sight of his face reflected in the pool. He was struck by its beauty and was admiring its sparkling eyes, its perfect nose, and sweetly curving lips when Echo came stealing up behind him. She wrapped her arms about his neck and kissed his cheek. "Get away," snarled Narcissus, shaking her off. "I'm sick to death of you. I don't love you, and I never will. I never want to hear your voice or look into your face again." "Look into your face again," sobbed Echo. You're telling me to look into my face, mocked Narcissus, who knew she did not mean to say that at all. Now that makes sense. The only thing I've heard you say that does. He gazed at his reflection in the water, turning his head to left and right to check that both sides of his face were perfect. Then he gave a sigh of satisfaction. You are as beautiful as the day is long, he told the face that smiled at him from the water. When Echo realized that his cruel heart would never love her, she fled to a mountain cave and hid herself from everyone. Grief made her too ill to eat or sleep, so that in time she became nothing but living bones. Then Hera took pity on her and turned her bones to rock so that she rested in peace at last among the mountains. Nothing remained of Echo but her voice, which will still reply to you if you call to her in caves and mountain places. Meanwhile, Narcissus came to the pool each day, fascinated by the face he saw in the water. Under the spell of Nemesis, he began to truly believe that a being of perfect beauty was looking at him from the pool. He lay by the water's edge all day, gazing at it, entranced. He leaned to kiss it, but as his lips touched the water, ripples broke up the reflection and it vanished. Come back to me, he begged, and as the ripples gradually stilled, the face he longed for reappeared. Even at night, Narcissus could not bear to leave the face he loved. His friends tried to reason with him, but they could make no sense of what he said. Why does it give me hope, then mock me, he wailed. I know it loves me, for it smiles and comes to meet me when I stoop to it, but at a touch, it vanishes. No one could persuade him to leave the pool. Day after day, he lay beside the water until he was wasted away entirely by hopeless love, just as Echo had been. The nymphs who had loved him were truly sorry to learn that he had died. Narcissus, farewell, they lamented, farewell. Echo's voice answered from the mountains. But when they came to bear his body away, they found no sign of it. In its place by the pool, a yellow flower was growing, of a kind they had not seen before. It stood at the water's edge, nodding its head to right and left in the wind as though it were gazing into the water. Then the nymphs knew that the gods in their kindness were letting Narcissus stay by the pool forever. They named the flower after him, and still today, we know it by the name Narcissus, even though we call it a daffodil. Okay, I wanted to show you the pictures from the book, so let me just switch that. So here you have Zeus with the nymphs, one of those being Echo, that he was playing with the nymphs instead of being at home with his wife, and so she got angry. And then let me show you, there's a picture. That's Narcissus by the pond, falling in love with himself, and that's Echo in the background, and he's turned into a flower that hangs its head over water. Okay. So hopefully you enjoyed that story. I will be making more for you. So have a great day. Bye-bye.